Kiss is one of the most recognizable bands of all time. They look like death metal, but they are the face of glam metal. And they got an iceberg chart. Everything on the top of the iceberg, even your grandma knows, and at the bottom, few people know. Top tier. Star Child is the Sona of Paul Stanley. It's meant to represent what he wants to look like, as well as to cover up his insecurities. The Demon is the most recognizable member of the band. It is the Sona of Gene Simmons. It represents how he likes comic books and horror movies. Spaceman, not to be confused with Star Child, is the Sona of Ace Frehley, who does it because he's fascinated with space and stuff. The Cat is the first Sona of Peter Criss, because much like a cat, he has 9 lives. Alive is their first live album, and despite famously having overdubbing of crowd cheering, this is the first album that hit gold, which led to multiple other Alive albums. I Was Made for Loving You, Baby is the lead track on their Dynasty album and is their most streamed song, and you've definitely heard it before. Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day is a song from their Dress to Kill album, and it is so common it is basically public domain. There's no way you haven't heard it before. Heaven's on Fire is another popular song from their Animalize album, the only one with Mark St. John, but we'll get about him later. Love Gun is a song with an album of the same name. It is Paul's favorite Kiss song. Beth is a surprisingly soft song by the band, performed by Peter, and it is also one of their most successful solo songs. Knights in Satan's Service is what a lot of people think Kiss stands for, but they are wrong. I also probably add an entry about their animated appearances, which is definitely how people under 40 know about Kiss. Like the Scooby-Doo and Kiss Rock and Roll Mystery, and they're like all in character and have powers and stuff. Or how I discovered Kiss from the Fairly Odd Parents TV movie Wishology, which had both Gene and Paul in it. Or of course the iconic Family Guy episodes, which they appeared in. And how do you not have an entry about Gene Simmons' tongue and how it's long and he likes to stick it out a lot? Phrasing. Next tier. Black Diamond is their last song on their first album that Peter sings. Solo albums refers to the fact that despite still being together, each of the members released a solo album in the late 70s. Some say it was an early sign of Ace and Peter leaving, but it was actually planned long before their release. Hard Luck Woman is a song that Paul wrote for Rod Stewart, but then they kept it and Peter sang. MTV Unmasked is an interview where the members of Kiss went, unmasked without their makeup. Deuce is a song from their first album. It is a very popular opener. Ace's Laugh. Ace laughs like the damn Joker.
It's like getting ready for surgery.
Cold Gin is a song by Ace, despite being sung by non-drinking Gene Simmons. Shock Me is the first song that Ace sung for the band, and it's about him being electrocuted on stage. 96 Reunion refers to the MTV Makeup Back On reunion, where Ace and Peter return to the band, as well as the makeup they haven't worn in a decade at that point. And also they kicked out Bruce Kulick and Eric Carr. Kiss Army is the official fan club that was formed by people protesting that more Kiss songs weren't on the radio. How is there not an entry about Psycho Circus? Next tier. Comic Book Blood. This refers to a Marvel comic super special about Kiss where the band put some of their blood in the ink. It sounds like a creepypasta, but this definitely did happen. Casablanca Records produced all Kiss's albums up to Lick It Up and their makeup hiatus. Lip Sync Gay refers to Paul Stanley clearly lip syncing during their farewell tour. Kiss Cruise. Starting in 2011 and still somewhat used, Kiss and a bunch of other bands sometimes perform on a cruise. Detroit Rock City is a song as well as a movie produced by Gene about a bunch of teenagers trying to go see Kiss at Detroit. Tom Snyder interview refers to a Halloween 79 interview where Gene and Paul are trying to interview as Ace is clearly off the rocks drunk. Ankh Warrior and the Fox refers to members Vinnie Vincent, the Ankh Warrior, which is my favorite makeup of any Kiss member. He replaced Ace, and the late great Eric Carr, the Fox, who replaced Peter. He is the cutest member of Kiss, and these are the only 2 members of Kiss who ever wore makeup other than the original 4. Air guitar strings. This is a bag of air with the Kiss brand on it, proving that they will sell anything, and you will buy it. Kiss Meets the Fan in the Parks is a truly terrible TV movie with the band in it, released in 1978. It kind of feels like a movie that would come out near the end of their career, not at the absolute height. The band hated it so much it was forbidden for anyone to mention it around them for a while. And a pretty funny thing behind the scenes, Ace just said "ack" a lot to the guy who was meant to, be interviewing him so he knows how to write the character. So the only dialogue he ever gave him was "ack." I would probably add an entry about God gave rock and roll to you. Next here. Kiss casket. Again, Kiss will sell anything, including a casket for your funeral. Dimebag Darrell is buried in one. Rio 83 refers to the band performing in Rio to 37,000 people, their largest crowd ever. Bob Ezrin is a Kiss producer who's produced basically some of their best albums, while Eddie Kramer was the one who produced their demo, as well as all the Alive albums, as well as Ace's solo album and Love Gun. Mark St. John is a guitarist who replaced both Ace and Vinnie. He's the one who served the least amount of time on Kiss, only on the Animalize album because he got arthritis. Devil Horn's trademark refers to how Gene Simmons tried trademarking in 2017 the whole Devil Horn hand thing. He eventually dropped it, but he still claims he invented it, but everyone knows in terms of music the whole hand gesture was started by Dio because he saw his grandmother do it and thought it was cool. Wait a minute, Dio? Oh my god! Banned in the USSR, this is one of many bans and most things that were banned in the USSR. Peter Criss imposter. There was an impoverished man who claimed to be Peter Criss until the real Peter confronted him on TV. Australia Kiss Mania refers to in 1980 with the release of the Unmasked album. Australia had just such a craze for Kiss to the levels of the Beatles or Taylor Swift. Kiss Convention 95 was a convention that invited Peter Criss back, which led directly to the MTV Unplugged reunion and Mask Back On reunion. Wicked Lester was Gene and Paul's pre-Kiss band. They do have an album, but they broke up due to lack of creative direction. I would definitely add an entry about how from 1983 with their Lick It Up album up until You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best album and the 96 reunion, they ditched their iconic face paint. Next here. Fraley's Comet is Ace's band after he left Kiss. Their song Into the Night is excellent. Not even going to pretend to know how to pronounce this. It's a collaboration song with the Japanese band Momoro Clover Z, with a very interesting music video because Japan. The Demon Wrestler refers to a WCW Nitro wrestler who dressed up like Gene Simmons. His theme was God of Thunder, which was performed by the band during his first appearance. LA Kiss is a football team owned by both Gene and Paul. Double bass strutter, double bass drum. Ace and Belushi. Ace Frehley was best friends with John Belushi, and he was supposed to be in a movie with him until John Belushi's sudden death. Bob Kulick is Bruce Kulick's brother. He served as a backup member for most glam metal bands like Wasp, Meatloaf, and of course Kiss, especially on Paul's solo album. Hotter Than Hell, Ace Airbrush refers to on the album cover of Hotter Than Hell, Ace's face airbrushed to cover up a car accident. Creatures of the Night alt cover refers to an alternate cover that's oddly really boring and includes Bruce despite not being on the album, versus the really cool one when it's just their heads and it's blue, the whites of their eyes glowing. Paul Stanley's Phantom, not that one. But yes, Paul Stanley did perform in Ontario on stage the Phantom of the Opera. Next here. Eric Carr's solo album refers to fan-made efforts to make his own solo album out of his solo songs. Love Gun insert. During the original release of Love Gun, you get a little paper gun to go with it. Chelsea is Peter's pre-Kiss band that is very 60s, like early Pink Floyd. Gene Simmons' Vault. Gene Simmons, if you pay him a lot of money, will personally deliver you a big safe full of a bunch of crap. Germany logo refers to how in Germany all Kiss memorabilia has to look different because the S's on the logos accidentally kind of look like the S's of some bad guys from World War II, despite the fact that Paul is Jewish and Gene is even Israeli. Origins 2 is a Japanese exclusive re-release of their first 4 albums with Paper Mask. Kiss Cafe. In Myrtle Beach from 2006 to 2013, there was a Kiss-themed coffee shop. ABC Friday Performance 82 is a live performance with the group. Vinnie Vincent's Invasion is Vinnie Vincent's solo band after he left Kiss. It's kind of the Kiss equivalent to Bobby Steele and the Undead is to the Misfits, or Megadeth is to Metallica. Kiss Monster Mini Golf is an indoor mini golf course in Las Vegas. Next tier. Peter's original makeup was a little different on the first album to how it now works. Kiss World Amusement Park in 79, they tried doing a silly circus theme traveling performance that never went anywhere, except for I guess an inspired Psycho Circus in 2 decades. Ace Played on Creatures of the Night is a conspiracy theory that the band plays up, even though, despite being credited on it, Ace had nothing to do with it. It was in fact Vinny, which is why there's several bootlegs that airbrush him off the cover. Original Demo is the original demo version of their first album from 1973. Missing S on Dress to Kill. If you look at the Dress for Kill album, up in the corner, yep, there's Missing S. Paul Stanley's left ear was misshapen at birth and he's deaf in it. He did get it reconstructed with plastic surgery, but much like me, he prefers to cover his ears with his hair. Ace and Peter's Bad Boys Tour, which was a tour in 95. Next tier. Identity of the hand on Elder cover. No one knows whose hand this is, other than it's credited as a hand model. So this could be literally anyone. AMC truck jingles. Gene, Paul, and Peter all did jingles for AMC trucks. There probably should also be an entry about how Paul Stanley did a Folgers commercial that was filmed in 2000 but never aired. Kiss Crunch is a fan thing of cereal. Whoa is a Wendy O. Williams album that every member of Kiss worked on. Lips is a pre-Kiss band by Peter that inspired the name Kiss. 3-piece lineup is their early pre-Ace lineup. Shocker soundtrack. Shocker is a horror movie which Paul wrote a lot of songs for, including the main theme. Under a different band, the Dudes of Wrath. Alive 2 misprint, it's a Live 2 album with extra tracks. Yoshi Kiss. This is another Japanese collaboration between Kiss and another Japanese performer, Yoshi Iki. Next tier. Beck is an early version of Beth that was performed by Chelsea, the band. Best of Kiss, Japanese 82, is a Japanese exclusive album. Kiss Monster Book is a gigantic 3 feet tall, overpriced photo album of Kiss. Van Halen rehearsal tapes. Supposedly, Gene did discover Van Halen, but I don't know what this is specifically referring to. Cadillac High Vikings is a high school football team that dressed like Kiss, and the members of Kiss did make them. Gene's hair on fire. What do you think this means with all that hairspray and a thing he does on stage is spit fire? Got a Thunder Paul demo. Despite being Gene's iconic song, the demo was by Paul. Blue Label refers to an uncommon pressing by Casablanca Records of their songs. Final tier. Eric Carr Rooster makeup. Originally, he is apparently going to be the Rooster Man. Crimson Harpoons and Albatross was originally names for Kiss. Cow tongue graphing was a rumor how long Gene Simmons' tongue is. It must be a cow's tongue. Gene's Bob Dylan song. He wrote a song for Bob Dylan that has yet to ever be released. Neil Bogart's Mob Money. Neil Bogart was the head of Casablanca Records, and he probably did have a mob connection. The Elder script. The album Songs from the Elder was originally supposed to be like a soundtrack to a movie that was never made. Post-Paul Kiss lineup is a crazy fantasy. But what do you guys think? Did you learn anything from this iceberg? Would you add any more information? Do you like Kiss? Let me know in the comments below, as well as hitting that like button and subscribing if you're new.